Coach, talk about the growth that this team has seen from the beginning of the year to today, and what are you happy about, and what do you think that the team still needs to work on?
Yeah. Um, I think the growth of this team has just been, I think they're growing up right in front of our eyes. I think you see them being much more aggressive, much more competitive. They're believing in one another. They're believing in us and what we're trying to do. But I've really been pleased just with their unselfish play. And it doesn't matter, who it has the hot hand, who is providing a spark for us. Like they can be a freshman, a sophomore, a senior, and I think everybody's on board with that. And I love seeing that happen because that's really important for us. I think that we are, I think we're just being more confident and selecting better shots, first of all. I think we're being more patient on offense and aggressive, but we're taking, our shot selection has just been so much better. I think we're defending and trying to, really trying to stick to our game plan. And that hasn't always been easy because we've gone with some smaller lineups and done some things that we've asked some people to guard out of position. And I think that they're doing a really good job of just doing what we ask them to do. We've got to continue to just be consistent. We've got to continue to come out of the gates and play well. We've got to be willing to defend and rebound the basketball. That's always going to be a key for us, is rebounding the basketball and then taking care of the basketball and our shot selection. So I'm proud of where we're at. We still have a long ways to go, and I'm excited about getting them back out on the court in front of our home crowd, for them to show what they've learned, but also for them to continue to get better.
As a former coach, player, everything, how disappointing were you at the Las Vegas Invitational ballroom and everything? And did that set back women's basketball in your mind?
Yeah. It was just a little discouraging because it wasn't how we were presented. It wasn't, I don't really think it was unsafe, except that if something did happen, they did not have emergency people on board or there or present to help us. But the court itself was safe. I think the idea and the concept was good, which is why we signed up to do that. But they just didn't follow through with several things. And so that was just frustrating from a coach's point of view, because we do want to give our kids a great experience, and our fans as well. We had several fans that traveled and they didn't have, great accommodations for them as far as seating and things like that. But, it's just frustrating that people don't take more pride in presenting the product, because as coaches, we take a lot of pride in the product that we put on the floor. And so if you're running an event, you really want it to be top notch, not only for the current people, but for the future, right? For the next group that wants to come to Vegas and participate in that in that tournament. They want to hear good things.
And going off of that, from a gameplay standpoint, how was your team able to overcome maybe just lack of environment, lack of what they would normally see on a game-to-game basis?
I think our kids were so focused on the mission that they were just excited to play. Like I said, we had a great following. I think we had over 65 people there wearing the red and black, and I think that was really fun for them to see that. Lots of family and some people that traveled with us. So I think that piece of it was really good. I think our kids overcame a lot of adversity actually through the first game, because that was the very first game of the tournament, and there was a lot of even if it was a really well-run tournament, you're still going to have some glitches in the first game, so monitors and where that was, the clock operation, the shot clock was difficult. So we had lots of stoppages during our first game, and so that in turn delayed the whole tournament because we were the first game that day. So that piece of it, I think, was frustrating, but I was super proud of how our girls held together. They didn't get flustered. They didn't lose their intensity, and I just think they overcame a lot and learned how to play in a pretty tough environment this weekend.
Coach, with Bailey and Jasmine getting back-to-back honors for Big 12 Freshman of the Week, how does that make you feel as a coach to not only see your girls performing at just a consistent level, but to get recognized for it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for them, and just for our program in general. Obviously we recruited them for a reason, and we know that they have really great potential as Lady Raiders. And it was fun to see them be able to step up on different nights and sometimes the same night, right? And that's what's going to happen. I mean, you're talking about Riley, also who's a sophomore who's had some incredible numbers as well. And that's just how our team is going to be this year. I think that we're going to have different people be able to step up, and I'm just glad to see our freshmen be that confident and to see our upperclassmen be that encouraging of them and to support them and help them be successful. So, it's exciting. We want to continue to build on it. We certainly don't want to be their best basketball by any means. So, luckily they're great kids and they'll stay grounded and continue to work.
And then with the game on Thursday, it's your first home game in a couple weeks. How's that excitement been in the locker room?
The girls are really excited to be back home, to be in front of their fans, to be able to come off of a couple of wins. And so hopefully our fans are excited about seeing them again. But they love playing at home. They love playing in the USA. And we're excited to be back. And hopefully we'll play really well and continue to build on the success that we've had.
Coach, you touched on it before heading to Las Vegas, but having the chance to be able to play early one day, really late the night after, just kind of talk about that environment and having to work towards that.
Yeah, that was really hard as well. I mean, I think that we knew there was going to be a lot of time in between, which we spun it as a positive to be able to recover quicker and to be able to spend a little bit more time on our scout. But at the same time, we knew on that second day that that tournament could be really far behind. And so we tried to alter our timeline as much as possible as far as like eating our pregame meal. We didn't want them to be starving by the time they actually played if we ate on a normal schedule. It actually allowed us to watch our football team all the way to the end. We got to watch overtime and everything and be super pumped about that before we even went down to where the gym was. So we tried to make it the best that we could, and that's what we talk about, control the controllables. And I thought our kids did a fantastic job of that. And luckily they're college kids and can stay up late and play well. I had to have a few cups of coffee to be able to make it to get tip off.
Obviously, Alabama State up next. They, winless so far, but facing very, very tough competition. Kind of what have you seen out of them so far?
Yeah, their schedule's been really tough. So hopefully it doesn't get much easier coming in here to face us. But Alabama State is very athletic. They have a lot of weapons, a lot of kids that can really shoot the basketball off the bounce. So we're going to have to do a good job of defending them without fouling and then blocking out and not letting them have second chance opportunities. And to be real honest, and no pun intended, but we need to make sure that we don't have a hangover from Vegas, right? I mean, you come back from a trip like that, you're a little bit tired, you're a lot tired, you're kind of even off at your sleep schedule, and then we've got to get back into a groove, and our kids are trying to get ready for finals too. So we've got a lot of things that we could use as adversity, but hopefully our kids will really focus and come together and play very well on Thursday, because we're going to need to be able to knock Alabama State off. They're looking for their first win, so they're playing with nothing to lose. So sometimes that's really scary.
And then finally, it seems like something that we've been talking about since the offseason is wanting to finish games late, and you showed that. I mean, really in every game so far this season, the fourth quarter has been really awesome. But even there in the Invitational, really against Middle Tennessee, really dominating your way there in the fourth, including there against Mercer.
Yeah, I think that shows our hopefully our senior leadership, that they are understanding that we lost some close games last year in the last quarter, and I think that they certainly have learned from that. But I think our seniors are doing a great job of holding them together and just continuing to fight. And then our young kids are just hooping, I mean, they're just wanting to step up and win. They're competitors. And that's the other piece, we've been recruiting winners. And when you think about that, I mean, Bailey Maupin has lost one game in the last, 2 years of her basketball career, and it's with us. So, we don't want her to get used to losing. We certainly want to use that competitive spirit that she has. And I would say the same about Kyla Freeland too. Like, Kyla hasn't lost very many games in her high school career. So we're recruiting those kids that are winners and that have won a lot, and they're fighting like that right now and closing games out.
We'll go to Chris, Stephen, and then Nathan. Chris. Coach, you mentioned how excited you guys are to play at home, but how encouraging was it to see 3 wins on the road and close games, getting away from home, getting them done?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you want to be able to have those experiences on the road so that you're prepared for Big 12 basketball because, playing on the road in the Big 12 is brutal. And so I thought that our kids have done a really good job of focusing in and playing well. I mean, I really like playing on the road sometimes because I feel like it's us against the world, and sometimes those kids really band together and they grow a lot under those circumstances. And so I think we saw that definitely. But now we need to make sure that we play well at home because we certainly have to protect our home court.
Can you talk about the impact Bri Amber Scott makes on the team, not necessarily on the court, but just having her, active on the team and in the locker room?
Yeah, for sure. Bri obviously gives us a lot of experience. She's played in a Final Four before, so that is super important. But, she's very much of an encourager and has done a great job of coming back on the team and just lifting us up and being very supportive and playing really hard. And I think her leadership has been really, really good.
Was there anything specific that happened after the Jackson State game, a meeting or just anything that has gotten y'all, on this winning streak y'all are on now?
I mean, I would say that, obviously we looked at film and we talked about effort and just execution and that you have to show up and play hard every single game at this level, that anybody can jump up there and get you. And Jackson State's a really good basketball team. They're going to win a lot of games. They're very, very athletic and really to this date, the most athletic team we've played so far. So it was just a matter of our kids, getting their attention that they've got to step up and compete for 4 quarters. And I thought that they had a great turnaround against Colorado. And I think they very easily could have, when we were down 16, could have thrown in the towel. And they're not made like that. They're really strong, high character kids. And, I think that they just did a great job of finding a way to win against Colorado, and they lack the taste of victory better than they do defeat.
And you mentioned there were some things at the Las Vegas tournament that weren't what you expected. What specifically were some of those things?
I mean, the setup was definitely not what we expected. I mean, the concept was for it to be kind of like the NBA bubble. With stands, of course, it was going to be that type of environment. Like I said, the concept was really great because we never had to leave the Mirage. I mean, that was fantastic. We all had meeting spaces. There was plenty of room, and you could go in, not necessarily us, but our fans could go and watch every single game if they wanted to. So all of that piece of it was great. It was really just the setup and then just not the availability of much needed support staff. So whether that have been like a monitor, a courtside monitor, was very, very important. And we used one, but it was in the production van, basically, not courtside. And then also just the EMT not being provided, and some of the things that athletic trainers need. I mean, that was a piece of it as well. So there were just little details that are really crucial to making a tournament like that be not seamless, but at least be high level. And so it was just disappointing that all those things weren't taken care of.
Bailey and Riley have pretty much played well all year, but it was good to see Jasmine Shavers also step up. So how do you feel about finally seeing her really step up this weekend, the former 4-star?
Yeah, I'm super excited for her. What Jasmine had to learn is that she's got to play some defense too, to stay on the floor, and then also to allow the offense to come to her. She's a phenomenal offensive player, but I felt like early in the games that we were playing, she was trying to rush it and not really work through the offense and let the offense come to her. I thought against Middle Tennessee, and then of course against Mercer, she really let the offense come to her, and she just played with a different level of intensity and really defended. She defended very, very well against Mercer, against one of their best players, and we challenged her with that, and I thought that she really stepped up. So it was just fun to see her kind of blossom a little bit, and we want to challenge her to continue to be that spark for us and to just be consistent with her effort and with her focus on defense and offense.
Don't want to go small all the time like that, but how does that show that this team really can adapt when they need to?
Yeah, that's one of the pieces that we're trying to get our team to understand, and I think they are, is that we have so many different lineups that we can put on the floor. I mean, we can go really big and long and athletic. We can go small and can really shoot the basketball. There's just different things that we can do against different opponents. And what we've got to make sure that happens, and this is part of that chemistry piece, is that all of our girls understand that, and like they don't take it as a demotion because they're not starting. It's because, hey, we think that we can get a better start with this lineup because we can attack their post players, or we can stretch them out to the 3-point line, or whatever that might be. There's going to be some games, for instance, Corpus Christi A&M, that we wanted to pound it inside, and I think you saw Ella have maybe the first 8 points of the game, when we played them. So it's a great. It's not a problem. It's a great thing to have that versatility on our team. And I love that our girls are buying into that and understanding that, hey, we just want the win, and whoever can provide that and whatever coaches think that we need to do to get that W, they're doing.
Coach, your 5 20-point games this season, 4 of them, or 3 of them are scored by true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and then 2 by Riley. How does that speak to the future of this program that you have 5 underclassmen, or have had 5 20-point games from underclassmen?
Well, I mean, I think I need to compliment our staff on that for their recruiting, right? I mean, we've had a chance to recruit. If you remember when we got here in August of 2020, we didn't even have a chance to recruit for that signing period. So, we've had a chance now to recruit some kids out of high school that we think are high-level players that can really impact us, and they're coming in and playing really well. And, I can't fault our seniors for understanding and giving us that experience and just that toughness that they've got to have. But yeah, it's super exciting for our future, and hopefully it'll continue to entice other recruits to look at what we're doing with our kids and then want to come help us, be champions.
I know you mentioned a couple of aspects of why this is, but why do you think this team is so much harder to guard than maybe last year's team or teams that you've had in the past?
Yeah, I think very much because of the versatility that we have and the balance. I mean, I think anything that we run, we don't even have to have kids in the right spots. Like if they're technically a 2 or if they're technically a 3, like they can really play. And I'm not keen on positionless basketball, but if that's what you want to call it, they can play any position and we can just execute. Our kids are just very fundamentally sound. They're really smart and they're extremely unselfish. So I think that's huge in the production that we're getting, and they can put the ball in the basket, and that certainly helps.
Do you have anything else for Coach Grote?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.